fans. We're setting the scene here at Lime Rock. And you know, there's nobody who knows this place better, who also happens to be the voice of NASCAR on Fox, Mike Joy. He has been broadcasting for many, many years, but he's been racing here for decades. There he is. You don't see a bigger smile on the guy's face than when he's climbing inside a race car. Look at him back in the 70s, racing right here. He's taken a checkered flag, raced against his own son, Scott. Let's get a history lesson from Mike Joy now.
Thanks, Jamie, and welcome to my home track. International racing star and local hero John Fitch joined with Jim Vale, the property owner, to lay out this beautiful 1.5-mile road course. We have footage of the first race here in 1957. You'll see those cars driving off into Big Bend the same way the trucks will today. That tailpipe smoke is a byproduct of the fuel they had to use back then. In the early 70s, it was the Trans Am. Mark Donahue won here for Roger Penske. So did Sam Posey, and Parnelli Jones, driving Bud Moore's Mustang, beat Donahue and Posey in the biggest race ever held here. In the 80s and 90s, it was Camel GT. Stars like Parnelli's son PJ, Davy Jones in a Jaguar, Jeff Brabham and John Morton in Nissans, and Wayne Taylor, whose son Jordan is on the outside pole for today's truck race. Local heroes, we've got them. Sam Posey has the front straight named for his accomplishments here. And actor, philanthropist turned racer Paul Newman drove Bob Sharp Datsuns here to a number of victories and won national championships. This was his playground, and the back straightaway is named for him. Now, today is not the first ever truck race at Lime Rock. The SCCA had a compact pro truck series in the late 1980s. That's where bump drafting was invented and perfected. So, two unique things about Lime Rock Park. One, all of the turns are named, not numbered. And two, there has never been a single grandstand or even a set of bleachers here. Everybody brings their picnic blankets and their lawn chairs and settle in to watch a great day of racing, just as I'm about to do.
Sounds like so much fun. And Trevor, I think we've heard that all morning long from these drivers, how much fun they're having on this racetrack. That's cool when you come to a new place historic like here at Lime Rock, and then the drivers love it.
Yeah, drivers love it when they have something they can manage, right? We watch them sliding and slipping around trying to get their truck in the right position.
Love it. Mike's in there with the fans. Let's now go trackside for the most famous words in racing.
Race fans, it's time for the most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command for the inaugural LiUNA 150 at Lime Rock Park, please welcome from LiUNA, General Secretary and Treasurer, Michael F. Sabatoni.
Thank you. Welcome to beautiful Lime Rock Park. On behalf of the 530,000 proud, strong, united men and women of the Laborers International Union of North America, our General President Brent Booker, Vice President Regional Manager Dan Bianco, and our General Executive Board, thank you for having us here today to sponsor this beautiful event. It is with honor and pleasure that I say God bless our troops, God bless the United States of America. And with that, I would like to say, drivers, are you ready? Start your engines!
Well done. 34 trucks are fired. We'll make history. We'll wave that green flag from Lime Rock Park. That's all coming up next. 100 laps ahead. Welcome to Pocono Raceway for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
This guy, Lane Riggs, first career poles. He's right there with a lot of speed.
Lane Riggs lead the field down into turn one. Green flag back out. Lane Riggs on the inside.
7 is getting a restart violation right there. Lane Riggs will be your leader.
Oh my goodness, how things have just changed. Checkered flag. He picks up his first win. Locks himself into the playoffs.
I'm so proud of you boys. Awesome job, guys. Woo!
And with that big win at Pocono, Lane became the 10th different winner this season, locking himself into the playoffs. We talk about this kid every week. We knew it was just a matter of time.
Oh, yeah, he's just been so strong week in and week out. One of the championship favorites. He's got to figure out a way to deal with Corey Heim. We know that week in and week out. We talk about our pole sitter Heim and how strong he is. But, man, this Riggs, this team, they're ready to do battle as we race toward the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely, Michael. And you mentioned it, you know, for several weeks we saw them inching closer to that win. There were a couple times he had a shot at the win and maybe didn't close it out, but last weekend at Pocono, everything played out perfectly for Lane.
He took his gloves off and went bare knuckle racing last week and grabbed that victory. It was an awesome run.
He certainly did, and he'll start third. And how about another guy starting up here in the top 5, starting on the front row, Jordan Taylor making his Truck Series debut, but he is far from a rookie. Look at this resume. I mean, he has won in everything. If they turn left and right, he's been there, done that.
What about this list right here? The 24 Hours of Le Mans, Daytona, 12 Hours of Sebring, multiple wins there. His road racing prowess is amazing, and he showed it in practice and qualifying. Just got in the truck for the first time and came right up to speed, and obviously really fast in qualifying as well.
Yeah, absolutely, Michael. We have such a unique blend here of road racers who have a ton of experience. Jordan Taylor's won a couple races here at this racetrack, but totally different type of car. They have ABS for the brake systems. They have traction control. The trucks have none of that. It's very raw, a lot of power, a lot of movement as you manage that. On the other side, you see the truck next to him with Corey Heim. He's got tons of laps in these trucks, but no laps on this racetrack until this weekend.
Going to be fun. Well, let's take a look now at the Craftsman starting grid. Corey Heim, you just mentioned him. 5th time he'll lead the field to green this year. And starting just next to him, Jordan Taylor, the road course superstar, making his truck debut. Trevor?
Yeah, and as we look at row 2 here, Jamie, you see a couple regulars. We talked about Lane Riggs and his win at Pocono, but Ty Majeski's still winless this year. This season, that is something I did not see coming. We know he has a ton of talent and will be contending today.
Another road course ace on row 3. Rick Cruz is going to be starting on the inside of that row as we look back. Caden Honeycutt there alongside of him in that 45 truck.
Let's take a look at the rest of the lineup. Kind of a mix from front to back.
Yeah, what about Australia's Cam Waters? He's going to go from the 16th position. Thomas Annunziata, another road course ace, starting inside the top 20.
Look a little farther back here. Ben Rhodes, I know he wasn't very happy with his qualifying run. Neither was Tanner Gray. You know, track position will be important at this narrow road course, so starting further back than they would have wanted to.
Row 10 got a 16-year-old Ben Mayer making his Truck Series debut.
Jack Wood had some issues in qualifying, didn't get to do so, and Wesley Slimp, he had issues in practice yesterday, caught his truck on fire. That's a backup that he'll be rolling off the 17th row in.
See Frankie Muniz there in row 15. He'll have an onboard today with a foot cam, which is something that's always fun to watch these road courses, see how, as you mentioned, they're sliding around. They have to manage it with not just the steering wheel, but those 2 feet.
That's our starting lineup. Let's now check in with our on-track analyst, Mr. Todd Bodine, who was on the track just moments ago.
Thank you, Jamie. 1956, they built Lime Rock Park. And back then, they didn't worry about the technical aspect of driving race cars. They wanted to have fun. So this place was built for having fun. And every driver I talked to in the garage area said, absolutely one of the most fun racetracks they've ever been on. And doesn't go without its technical portion, too, which is nice. We're here in turns 2, 3, and 4. This area of the racetrack is very, very technical because you go from corner to corner. And if you miss one corner, you mess up your line for the next corner, which messes up your line for the next corner. So it's very technical and very important to be on the right line. And I've talked to a few of the old racers around here, got thousands of laps, and the one thing they all giggle and tell me, you come off of turn 2 and you want to set yourself up for turn 3 and being in the right line, you just aim for the red outhouse on the hill.
The outhouse, I like it. We're going to be checking in with Todd throughout today's race. Well, we have 2 pit reporters covering all the action. This is Caitlin Vinci and Josh Sims. Good day, Josh.
Good day, Jamie, and I can tell you this about Corey Heim. He has been the dominant truck all season long. 4 wins, and if you ask him, he could argue he should have twice as many, and he's done it on all different types of tracks, so it's no surprise he is on the pole for today's race. They felt good about their truck yesterday in practice, felt like they made some changes to get even better, and keep this in mind, Corey Heim has won the last 2 truck races on road courses. No driver has ever won 3 in a row, so Corey has a chance to make some history out here today. Caitlin.
Well, Josh, one driver to keep an eye on with some work to do is former champion of Ben Rhodes, entering this race 60 points below the cut line. And I had a chance to talk with Ben about the season as a whole, and he told me it's just been a series of issues, from bad pit stops to mechanical failures. He said we can't seem to find any consistency. Now, the team did make a crew chief change last time out with Doug George on top of the pit box. Doug is with the team once again because they know with just a few races remaining in the regular season, they need to do whatever it takes to try and get a win for Ben Rhodes to advance him. Jamie?
Thank you, Caitlin. And Michael, let's take a look at our Craftsman truck description.
This place is 1.5 miles in length. We've talked a lot about the history and the significance of this racetrack. 7 turns on the road course. You can see the front straightaway is 40 feet wide, but the rest of the circuit's only 30 feet wide, which means it's very narrow. Passing is going to be tough, Trevor.
It is going to be tough, Michael. You got 100 laps to figure it out, though, here as we look at our race analysis up next. Going to see that stage 1 is 35 laps, stage 2 35 laps, and then we go to the final stage.
Here we come. They're off. Corey Heim leads them. Green flag is in the air. We're making history and racing at Lime Rock Park. Great start for Corey Heim as they're side by side. Every single row behind him, touching, beating, and banging.
We're going to see that all day long, Jamie. Look how those 2 trucks side by side fill up the whole racetrack. Great action, great shots. That's the left-hander, the only one on the track.
Now they work their way up through the Paul Newman straight, uphill, into turn 5.
This is my favorite turn, Jamie, the uphill.
I'm speechless still. We just made it through turns 1, 2, 3, 4 without anybody off-roading there, Michael. I did not see that coming.
Well, get ready, Trevor, because as the laps roll on, these truckers tend to get a little wilder and wilder. We're going to see a lot of off-track action, I guarantee you that.
Look at Daniel Hemrick taking a peek right now. Hasn't had the best speed, hasn't had the best truck since we've been here, but he's trying to make the most of it early here.
As you see these drivers go down the front stretch, this is the first time they've been around other vehicles. In practice, you can see everything. Now you have 20 other trucks obstructing your view. Where's my braking zone at? How do I figure out this corner that I've only got 20 laps on for my whole career?
Saw Chandler Smith right there in the 38, celebrated a birthday 2 days ago, turned 23 side by side with Connor Mozak. Connor Mozak, we've talked about him a lot on the ovals, but road course racing is what he knows. This is where he's comfortable.
Andres Perez in that 77 truck there behind those 2. He looks like he's quicker than they are right now. Looking for a place to go. Is he going to go 3 wide? Wow.
Perez showed some strength this morning, guys. Fastest in that first group in qualifying.
I like what I saw out of Andres there, though. He tested the limits a little bit, and he saw, hey, this is not going to work out being 3 wide. I'm going to settle in, and I'm going to go back after him. He knows he has a fast truck, really fast in practice. Lap 1 on the track, as you mentioned, qualified well. Now he's going to take his time and work for it as he challenges that braking zone down into turn 1, looking inside of Chandler Smith.
See Thomas Annunziata in that 07 truck, another road race guy. Just getting used to the truck. He's going to be solid all day long. Picking a winner, I mean, you got to take Corey Heim. He's been dominant all season long. But darn, Trevor, there's going to be a lot of challengers that Corey's going to have to turn away if he's going to win this race.
Well, Michael, we've seen even on the ovals for Corey Heim, you can't just mail it in at the end of stage 2. He's won so many stages and been set up to win, gosh, 12 of our 14, 15 races so far, and then he's only won 5.
Yeah.
What happens? You get a flat tire, you get used up on a restart. I can tell you if there's a late race restart, Corey is not going to want that with how things have gone for him lately.
Well, this is the 15th race of the season. Corey Heim, he's led in every single one of them. And you mentioned stage wins. He has a whopping 12.
And Jamie, the last 4 2-second stages, he's won all 4. So when it comes down to go time, he is there week in and week out. What a job he's doing in that 11 truck.
Well, and how about our top 4 guys? We mentioned it in the rundown. You have 2 regulars, Corey Heim, Lane Riggs, and then you have 2 road course ringers, Jordan Taylor, Brent Cruz. They're all learning something new. Some are learning the trucks for the first time. Some are learning road racing in the track, Lime Rock Park, for the first time. We see Jordan Taylor and Brent Cruz kind of stalking them down. They're going to get better every lap as they learn the limits of these trucks.
And Brent was awesome in qualifying. I mean, he came off turn 7, the downhill there we saw in the pre-race, and was all the way off the road and still qualified inside the top 5. So I'm looking for that #1 truck to be a factor before this day's over.
Yeah, Michael, and I talked to Brent after qualifying about that, and he said his truck's just kind of bouncing a lot. There's more bumps on this racetrack than they could have predicted through their simulation. The drivers spent tons of time preparing for this race. They ran hundreds of laps on this racetrack, but it's never going to be perfect. There's always going to be something a little different when you show up here for the real thing.
And Brent Cruz in that 1 truck, just the 2nd time he's been in this series. He's doing double duty running in the Arkham and Art series, so he's got double the lap times just this weekend alone than most everybody else. There's 3 doing double duty, but Brent right now trying to find his way around the 7 of Jordan Taylor.
What about Jordan Taylor, world-renowned road course racer, and the kid, 17-year-old Brent Cruz, just hounding him right now. I think he's a little bit faster than Jordan.
Such a competitive series, Michael, and then you add in just first-timers, then the veterans that have been here for so long, those road course aces. We have 16-year-olds, we got a 63-year-old, we've got it all for you.
Trevor, you talked about simulation and how much work, preparation, engineering-wise goes into these trucks, these race vehicles, and then the drivers doing their part online, racing this track, doing all the studying they can do. That's a huge part of racing these days.
Absolutely it is. I mean, ideally, if you could come here and race something else, Gio Ruggiero came and ran a TA2 car here. We mentioned Jordan Taylor's won a couple races here. Brent Cruz working on it. But that, if you can't get on the track, the best thing is to get on iRacing, to get in your simulator with your team with the support you have, and make as many laps as possible. How can I get more used to the visuals? You see right there, Caden Honeycutt tracking out wide using every ounce of asphalt through turn 5. I can't wait until we settle down a little bit and we can start showing some of these shots as we see Caden Honeycutt attacking on Ty Majeski through turn 7.
Oh, Brent Cruz off the road a little bit again, it looks like up ahead of him. And look at Raja Caruth in the 71. Can he sniff away to get him 3 wide as they head toward Big Bend? And now Ty Majeski has to give up that spot there for the most part. This Big Bend is a long sweeping corner, and even if you don't want to give up the spot, they're going to push you wide. Now with Raja Caruth, though, he can contend here through turn 3. Raja's set up for the right-hander, though. Is he going to be able to keep enough distance there to fight for that spot? He is doing just that, battling for that position.
The only left-hander on the course. Look at that, a little contact. Raja Caruth on the hunt. The 98 of Ty Majeski, our defending series champion, hanging on. This is a battle for 6th.
And it is just that. That was some precision driving through the left-hander and the right-hander. Wow, let's take a look at that again.
Yeah, and the 98 there is struggling through turn 7, setting up that pass by Raja. Let's see what we
Here's
have
our
on the
leader, Corey Heim. Woo, going wide.
That tells you that they're just running right on the edge, Trevor. We see it every week with the trucks. These races are quick, they're short, and you know you better get it while the getting's good.
And right now, you know, if you drop a tire off the asphalt, not that big of a penalty as long as you're going straight. As the race goes on, more and more and more trucks do that. They drop a tire off. That rut is going to get bigger. The consequences are going to get worse. But that turn 7, we saw Ty Majeski struggling through there. That is one of the most important corners on the racetrack as we head down the hill to it now, because that sets up the passing zone in turn 1. If you cannot get up this corner here with Lane Riggs going through 7 and get back to the gas early, you're going to creep to it, you're going to get somebody attacking every time as you get down this long straightaway.
Riding on board with Lane Riggs. You see his view, looking at the leader, Corey Heim. It's a great day to be at the racetrack. It's all about the kids, all about the families. What a great day from Lime Rock. The road to 2026 continues tomorrow on Fox with the Gold Cup quarterfinal as the U.S. men's national team takes on Costa Rica. No easy path, no second chances. Coverage begins tomorrow. That's at 6 Eastern on Fox. And back here at Lime Rock Park, while we stepped aside, Tanner Gray had a little off-road excursion.
We're kicking up dirt all over this place, Jamie.
We sure are. We've only had one truck truly go around this weekend, and that was Grant Enfinger this morning. Here's a look at the 15.
Just swings wide into the corner, lost grip to the front end, and had to correct her, Trevor, and off the track he went.
Yeah, and that's so important here to be able to get down to that curve you see on the right where Frankie Muniz is at. Tanner just got in a little bit too hot, pushes you out wide, and with that sweeping corner, as soon as you drop a left front, you see Slimp there with the left front off. It just pulls you all the way out.
Wesley Slimp making his debut.
He's in a backup truck after some issues yesterday.
Big fire yesterday. Scary moment for him, but they got the backup truck out, got him back on track this morning. Used the qualifying as a little practice session.
Tanner Gray, really strong at Pocono. Last week got second, but today he's just struggled. He's currently riding back in the 30th position. How about that, Jamie? How good you got to be one week, finish the second, and how competitive things are the next. He's riding back in 30th.
We've got 4 races left before the playoffs, Michael. It's go or go home, and he's one of those guys that he's in a must-win situation.
Yeah, I think we've seen a ton of improvement for Tanner Gray for the second half of this first part of the season. He has been really fast, as you mentioned, second place at Pocono. But I got to be honest, this was not one marked on his calendar he was looking forward to. Not a big fan of the road courses. He's been working on it, spent a lot of time. We went to Kershaw and tested earlier this year. You know, I talk about Corey Hyman, the amount of time he spends on the simulator. Tanner was on all those sessions with us. He was on there running laps, and it's just sometimes hard to correlate from the sim to the real thing, and this is not something he loves, that's for sure.
Well, so many sights and sounds, so much challenges for the drivers. Let's hop on board with Lane Riggs for a lap here.
Yeah, I love this. You're going to hear a lot of throttle modulation down into turn 1, a couple downshifts. Slides up from this curb.
That's Big Bend as he works his way off turn 2. Trevor, is the next corner Parliament or not?
No, I don't think it's Parliament. No, it's just the left-hander, Michael. So you want to set up this exit, though. You got to be tight to the left to be straight driving at the right-hander. All those first 3-4 corners connect, and then this is onto the straight. They call it Paul Newman straight, but not very straight going through there. Still winding through to turn 5.
And then when you get to turn 5, the uphiller, this thing's got a lot going on. Look at that exit. Ooh. You just hop off that corner and head down the hill to turn 7, the downhill corner, onto the front straightaway. I guess probably the most important corner, would you say, is the downhill here? Because it sets you up for that long run down the front straightaway.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe not for lap time. You know, I think that turns 1 through 4 is kind of where you make lap time. But once you're around other trucks, you have got to be good through 7. I think through 1, 2, 3, 4, if you're sliding, you can kind of keep them behind you and play the games. But through there, you're on defense if you're not good in turn 7. Josh.
And Lane Riggs is our most recent winner in the Truck Series, getting it done at Pocono last week. When it comes to road course racing, that's a little bit new for him. This is only his second time in a truck on a road course, but he actually had a chance to come to Lime Rock about 4 weeks ago and drive a Dark Horse Mustang around this track, so he does have some familiarity. During practice yesterday, battling a tight truck, didn't stop him from qualifying well, as you see the 76 off the track, but right now he's running in second, Jamie.
That's a great point about Lane Riggs. Hasn't been in the series that long. And you mentioned we're looking at Spencer Boyd in the 76 parked, but not a lot of road course experience for Lane Riggs. Rookie of the year in the series last year. This is the first of 3 road courses we'll go to this season.
Well, we're seeing his rear wheel spin there on Spencer Boyd. I think he's going to get back going again. He's going to blend right around where the leaders are at here in turn 3. Got a right front tire down. It'll be interesting to see if he can make it back to pit road because he's on the other end of the racetrack.
Spencer had some issues prior to this spin. A couple of laps down already, just trying to limp it back home as here comes Corey Heim around him.
We stay green for now as you see 20 laps to go in stage number 1.
Do you see the blue flag there? That's a local caution. They can at least warn drivers that there's someone slow or something on the track in front of them. A little different than what we see at an oval where we have a full course caution every time.
There's the gap from first to second.
Woo. Lane is flirting with disaster there, Michael. Did you see how close he was to the grass turning into the corner, using every ounce of that 30 feet that they've got to work with?
He's getting a little nervous. That guy in the 11's getting smaller out that windshield. He wants to try to run him down. Look at this battle. Cam Waters. There's Tanner Gray, the 15. We know he had some issues early. Now he's caught up with Timmy Hill. He's moving forward, but not very fast, Trevor. Timmy's running 28th. He's going to try to make that move.
That's Jack Wood, the 91, just ahead of him. He's the biggest mover of the race so far, up 7 spots. They made some adjustments before qualifying this morning, so they were not able to qualify, and NASCAR put him in the back. So an uphill battle for Jack Wood. As this battle right here rages on.
Grant Enfinger off the road and qualifying with a little bit of damage.
10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, all right here.
Talked to Grant. He said it wasn't enough to matter. It's just a driver error, and he was going to get that all squared away in this race today. He's running really strong right now in that Nitra.
Let's get an update on Ty Majeski, Caitlin.
Yeah, Jamie, well, a lot of people may not realize that Ty Majeski, when he came to ThorSport, originally was hired as a race engineer. He told me that he worked on scanning all the suspension parts and cataloging them for the team. So he said, I saw every part and piece that came through this race shop, which really helped him on the driving side. And he said as much as he loves driving, he really enjoys the engineering and creativity as well that goes into working on these race trucks. But former champion, right now occupying that 9th spot on track. Jamie?
Yeah, I love that. He knows every part of these race trucks. This year, Duke said, you're a champion, you take a back seat. We'll take care of a lot of the minutia that comes with these trucks. You just focus on driving, and so far, doing a nice job here running 9th.
A little bit of damage on that right front fender there we see on the 98, probably from that early restart when they were side by side. He didn't start in the top 4, and he's back to 9th. So that obviously did not go his way, being on the outside of that second row.
Yeah, he must have maximized during his qualifying lap, because in practice we didn't really see all that much speed out of him, and now falling back after a great qualifying run. Thomas Annunziata there in the 07 is heating up his tailgate.
Let's go on board with Frankie Muniz. He has a couple unique camera angles. We can take a look at what he's doing out the back, as well as from the driver's seat, and see what he's doing with his feet. This is the Morgan & Morgan on board.
Well, at 20 laps in, Jamie, you're going to start to feel maybe a little bit of brake fade if you've been close to somebody. So you're going to see him tap that brake pedal once in a while just to make sure he's got good brakes. You see it there down the front straightaway. Okay, the pedal's firm. I can push on that brake. But more interesting is watching that right foot, because this track is slick, is flat, as narrow as it is. You are just constantly trying to search for grip. You don't want to light up the rear tires and spin those things, but you can, just barely go to it a little much, make it rotate, or you can stay under those rear tires and not push as hard to get that grip you need. Caitlin.
Well, Trevor, I did have a chance to talk with Frankie about the season. The last 2 races have gone a little bit better for the team. He feels like they are starting to make some gains. But of course, most people know Frankie Muniz from Hollywood in the acting world. And I asked him about the transition from acting to driving. He said, you know what? Honestly, driving is so much harder, because unlike being an actor, it's not subjective. He said, as an actor, you can put in all the work, think you do a great job in a film, and the viewers might still not like it. But he said, as far as driving, it's very cut and dry. The results speak for themselves. They're pretty black and white. So he said, I know exactly where I need to improve. But very neat having a name like Frankie Muniz competing week to week here in this truck series. Jamie?
Yeah, Malcolm in the middle. They just shot a Malcolm reboot. He was actually filming that while racing, but this is his first love. He has always wanted to be a race car driver.
Morgan and Muniz there. I saw him do some stuff on his social media, joining the Morgan & Morgan team. So it's cool to have sponsorships that love to activate around NASCAR, and Frankie Muniz is a great guy to do just that with.
Well, Tony Breitinger, sorry, Trevor, right behind him, trying to find a way around.
Well, and I love what he said about the numbers don't lie, right? It's not an opinion of how are you doing necessarily. It is about what does that scoreboard say at the end of the day? And I always love that when I race. When we get done with this broadcast today, I might get a text or two from a friend. It's like, hey, good job, or you really messed that up, from Michael over here beside me. But when you're racing a truck, you can tell exactly how much time you're off. Where is that time out? Now, the hard part about this is it driver? Is it the truck? Is it the setup? And so these drivers, whether you're leading the race, whether you're Frankie Muniz that's battling, back in 30th right now, you're trying to make your truck better all day long.
Todd Bodine is our driver analyst. Todd, what are you seeing from Jordan Taylor so far?
Well, Jamie, I was looking, he's almost 8 seconds back, and I'm thinking to myself, this is the road course ace, right? This is the guy in the field we all talked about coming in here and maybe stealing this race from the guys. So I went and talked to his crew chief, Brian Paddy. Brian, what's wrong? He said nothing. He said, this guy is just an endurance racer. This is what he does. His lap times have been the same almost every single lap, within a 1/10 of a second. That's incredible around this racetrack. So no issues, 8 seconds back, but just cruising along.
We did tell him how fast these races go by, though, right? We're already 22 laps into a 100-lap race. Well, Corey Heim continues to lead, 4.9 seconds over Lane Riggs. We're going to step aside, but you won't miss a thing. We're going Fox side by side. Our leader, Corey Heim, working his way around lap traffic. He's already gotten around 2 of them, including one of his teammates, Tony Breidinger.
That's the first trucks he's seen in front of him all day, Trevor. Has to feel a little bit weird as he tries to work over Frankie Muniz down into Big Bend.
Well, Michael, as these tires have gotten hot and worn out, the lap times have slowed down tremendously, almost 2 to 3 seconds from what we saw in practice. So now that delta from the leader to those 30th place trucks is not very big. It's within a second, so it's going to make it tough for him to pass even a truck that's not, in the top 5 or top 10. It's going to be hard, and it's narrow here, so he's got to be very patient as he works through these trucks.
Nice pass. He gets around Frankie Muniz and puts him 1 lap down.
Frankie just watches that 11 truck shoot across the uphill turn there.
See what Corey Heim has done this season. 914 laps and counting. It's incredible what he's done. He's led every lap so far today, all 25 of them. working lap 26 here. The end of stage 1 is at lap 35.
And think about the types of racetracks we've been on so far this season. We've seen super speedways, we've seen short tracks, we've seen racetrack revivals like Rockingham and North Wilkesboro, intermediates, road courses. He's been able to lead on every single one of those in multiple laps. That's not off of pit strategy. It's not off of staying out under caution. Like, he's legitimately that fast on every type of racetrack.
Connor Mozak in the 81 running 7th now. Had a great run a week ago, finished 6th. What are you hearing so far, Josh?
Well, Jamie, when you talk about drivers that excel on road courses, Connor Mozak is on that short list of the Truck Series regulars. And I talked to him about that, knowing that there are 2 road courses left in the regular season. And he said, look, there is pressure on me to perform and win one of these races, whether it's this one or Watkins Glen. But he said, I enjoy the pressure. He came over the radio a little while ago saying he likes the truck. The team told him, despite running right now in the 7th position, he is one of the fastest trucks on the track. It's all about track position. He's going to look to get that, but look for the 81 to be strong today if he can get that track position, Jamie.
Well, he's the fastest of the McAnally Hilgeman Racing 4 trucks out there. Somebody touched the dirt there, made a mess coming out of turn 7.
Well, and we're 8 laps until the stage here, and I'm really curious to see who can make the right adjustments. We've talked about the drivers and their ability to adapt, but now the crew chiefs are going to have a chance to make the truck better for their drivers when we get to that stage. Feedback is going to be so crucial. I think we're seeing drivers like Jordan Taylor, Brent Cruz that have road course experience start to maximize their trucks to the fullest extent, and they see that that 34 and 11 are a little bit better. Where is that at? How do you make it better, Michael?
And a young man like Caden Honeycutt, you know, you think of him as a short track racer. He's trying to figure all this thing, all those questions you just asked me, Trevor, he's trying to figure that out on the fly. And what a job he does week in and week out, maintaining that type of speed. Brent Cruz, another young racer that is just a road race ace. It's really cool to see these 2 worlds come together here at Lime Rock Park.
Brent Cruz, the 17-year-old from Hickory, North Carolina. I mean, they start racing so young. He's probably been racing since he was 4. I know he was racing Trans Am cars at 14, and he's coming up through that pipeline and just getting it done. Cruz running 4.
Yeah, that one truck is bouncing a lot. I don't know if you saw that there on that shot through turn 1, but it looks like they have a lot of control on that right front shock. Something just looks a little bit unstable for him. You see it there as he hits the curb. You want that truck to recover when you go over a curb, and his is not doing that, I don't think, to his liking right now.
When they come down pit road, what kind of adjustments can they do, if anything, to help that?
Well, this is a little different this weekend, right, Jamie? You have a controlled break that we will have for 3 minutes. It's not going to be our typical pit stops. This is a standalone event for the Truck Series. They are away from the Cup and the Xfinity Series this weekend. So NASCAR decided, let's make these uncompetitive. We will come down. You won't lose your position. So in that 3 minutes, you have way more time than you would typically have in a 16-second pit stop to work on maybe shocks, maybe work on some rebound or some compression, some little things that might help the ride quality of that truck.
Those engineers on the pit box, Jamie, are just wearing those computers out right now, asking it questions. What's the tendencies? What can we do if this is a scenario our truck's faced with? And Brent's done a great job all day long. And I know, Trevor, you've been in touch with him about what his truck's doing, what his challenges are, and that's exactly what he's dealing with, a bouncy truck.
There was a battle for Chandler Smith with himself. He was sideways coming off of turn 2.
Battle for 7th with Raja Caruth.
Chandler's got a lot of speed here. Started off practice this morning a little bit slow. I was worried about him, but man, they've regrouped. He's faster right now than Raja in that 7th position.
Chandler Smith, one of the guys used to race in the Truck Series, did not like road course racing at all until he went to Joe Gibbs Racing. Something clicked for him. Now he's with a different team this year, and he's embracing it. I think you have to have a good attitude, or you're going to beat yourself if you show up and say, I hate this.
Absolutely, and something I'm seeing even more now, Michael, is these drivers are learning how to pace this next 35-lap run, because we are 4.5 seconds slower than the pace that they qualified at. That is tremendous for fall off at a 1.5 mile track. I think some of these drivers, like we saw Chandler Smith and now Jake Garcia, they might have gone out like a rocket, but now this truck is ill-handling, sliding around. You see Ben Rhodes and Matt Crafton right behind him there trying to figure out their trucks as well. But maybe there's some pacing involved. Maybe I do need to save my brakes and save my tires a little more this next run.
A couple of 3 teammates here doing battle, and a couple of those teammates are champions of this sport. So Jake's doing a good job of leading Ben Rhodes and Matt Crafton as they race inside the top 20, but I'm telling you guys, how competitive are things? You would expect any one of those trucks could be leading this thing. That's how deep the field is here in the Craftsman Truck Series.
Beautiful looking Thor Sport trucks as they're all over Andres Perez. Spire driver.
Here's the big hop off that uphill turn 5.
Just love hearing that.
I do too. Hear those motors scream.
Woo!
Matt
Did you
Mills.
just put your hands in the air, Michael, as we went up over that like a roller coaster?
I feel like I am on a roller coaster. That's fun.
You haven't. I did the woo for you that time. I feel like every time we look at that, we get some sound effects.
Look at this battle. Spencer Boyd, we know he had problems early. Now he's all over Frankie Muniz. Go on board with Frankie and see if he can hold off Spencer, as here comes Jordan Taylor making the pass to put these guys in his rearview mirror.
Jordan Taylor right there running 3rd.
Brent Cruz is now in that frame as well, right behind Jordan Taylor. He's closed that gap to within a 10th. See if he can try to get by him through this traffic here. That'd be big for Brent to be on the inside of this next restart if he can make it there.
Watch this big dive. There you go. Down into Big Bend, takes that inside road.
Jordan Taylor's so used to running around other cars, multiple series running in the sports car world.
Multiple speeds too. There's different engines and different rules for different cars, and you got to figure all that out. Jordan's doing a nice job here as he battles in the field.
Yeah, we see Brent right there with him within a truck length now. It's one thing to catch someone, but now to make this pass. We saw the one truck struggle in turn 7, which we said is a very important corner in qualifying, went off the track a couple times there.
Coming out of the downhill, turn 7. 2 laps to go in stage number 1. Teams.
Sorry, Jamie, how cool you think it is for Brent Cruz to be looking out the windshield and see he's battling with Jordan Taylor, one of the best road racers in the world. He's right on his hip.
Yeah, and I look at Brent and think about a Connor Zillage, right? They just storm onto the scene at 17, 18 years old and start winning races. Where did that come from? What have they been doing? And I talked to Brent about that. He said, you know, him and Connor have grown up together. They've raced together so much. He's about a year younger, but was always kind of right behind Connor in their progression. So I would definitely look to him to be this good on these road courses.
And this is a stepping stone, a development series. You use the ARCA Menards into the Truck Series, Xfinity, to get to Sunday racing. Connor Zillage, you just mentioned him, doing a fantastic job, won the race last week in the Xfinity Series. But Connor still stays in touch with these guys like Brent Cruz, gives them advice, helps them out, because these guys want to be racing on Sundays.
Big deal for Jack Wood here, not wanting to go a lap down before the end of this stage, doing everything he can to keep Corey Heim behind, but he's going to go right by into turn 1 there.
Corey Heim, our leader, final lap of this stage.
Jack didn't get to qualify, so he started out back and has made a little bit of progress, but you can see he just got eaten up there by Corey Heim. Now he just hopes Corey doesn't go past someone else so he can get the free pass.
And obviously all these slap trucks in front or slower trucks are trying to stay on the lead lap, but as soon as you cross that start-finish line, your mind instantly goes to, how can I take advantage of this next restart that'll come up after our break? All the lap times are within a half a second of each other after about 20 laps with these tires.
And there it is, the green and white checkered flag in the air for Corey Heim, who picks up his 13th stage win of 2025, coming in hot.
Still just sliding that truck off that downhill turn and takes the green and white checkered.
Led every lap here in stage 1. We'll step aside. We'll have pit stops when we come back. Does the 11 need anything? I'm sure he's going to ask for something. Corey Heim getting it done in stage 1. Alex Palou looks to continue his legendary season and hold off Joseph Newgarden, Pato O'Ward, Kyle Kirkwood, and the rest of the pack as the IndyCar Series roars into mid-Ohio, July 6th on Fox. Gotta love a little 4th of July weekend racing action. Looking forward to that. Well, our race analyst, he's been kind of all over the place. Todd was on track just earlier today to break down some key points of this racetrack.
One of the things that makes Lime Rock Park one of the most unique racetracks in our country is the hill. We hear people talk about it and the drivers talk about the hill. This is the hill. The drivers exit turn 5 and immediately start climbing the hill. But the tricky part is if you don't line the truck up properly, you come over this hill and when the truck lands, you can run right straight off into the dirt, into the grass. You've probably seen some guys do that already. And when you come up over the hill, if you run wide open, the truck as fast as it'll go, the front tires come up over this hill and they get right off the ground. You might have seen some of that also. But when they come over the hill and it lands, the rear tires get light and they start spinning. So the drivers have to modulate the throttle up over this hill to not make the truck get out of control. And a lot of times it will get off in the grass and spin the tires. So this is, you say it's only a hill, but it's not just only a hill. It's really tricky, and every time the drivers are exiting turn 5, they're working their tails off when they get up over here.
This part of the track has been so entertaining.
Do your kids like to get their belly taken in the car? Like you go over a hill and it kind of,
it's like a roller coaster.
Takes your belly. That's what this is every lap.
And that hole right there beside the road that you talked about, Trevor, is just going to keep getting deeper and deeper as these guys go through there and churn that dirt up. So more and more difficult as the laps pass by.
So the truckers make their way down pit road, and as Trevor mentioned, this is modified live stops, no competitive advantage. Now every truck will pull into their box. Nobody can go over the wall until NASCAR gives them the go-ahead.
And the trucks could stay on track here if they wanted to. They don't have to pit. You would obviously gain an advantage then, but if you come to pit road, you will be frozen. And so that's kind of what we're going to see here with the tire fall off, with the fuel situation. Everybody should, I would expect, be on pit road as you mentioned.
And this is when the crew chiefs and the engineers go to work and try to figure out what they're going to do to be able to run down Corey Heim. Got a report from pit road that Corey doesn't want any changes. He likes his truck just like it is, but if you're Jordan Taylor, you're Lane Riggs, you know you've got to make an adjustment. You got to do something to try to take this and cut the advantage that Heim has away.
This is not what we typically see. Everybody's kind of still. Nothing's moving on pit road. They haven't been given the go-ahead to all jump over and service these trucks. But when they do, Caitlin, you're there to call the action.
Yeah, Jamie, well, Jordan Taylor, P3 in that stage, actually told me he had a little bit of nerves going into this race, seeing as it's his first time in a truck, but his feedback to the team was just still searching for overall grip on that 7. He did request an air pressure adjustment for Rajat Karuth in the 71. He told me he really feels like this team has hit a good stride since they won at Nashville a couple of weeks ago. He said he needs lateral grip and drive off in 1 and 2. Also, his air hose detached, so they are reattaching that for Rajat Karuth. Josh?
For Corey Heim has led every single lap of this race so far, and he feels really good, as Mikey said, about that truck right now. 13th stage win of the season. He said he was losing grip towards the end of the run. That's just a matter of getting him some tires. We'll see how things shake out in this next stage for Corey Heim. As far as the 34 of Lane Riggs, he said he was tight in the left-handers, felt like he's heating up there, and he said he needs drive off and all the right-handers, so they're going to make an air pressure and a wedge adjustment to help out the 34 to give him something to try and track down that 11 truck.
Plenty of time to make these needed adjustments for all these drivers. Well, last week, NASCAR lost one of its own, Larry McClure, a NASCAR Cup owner from 1983 to 2009, headquartered in Abington, Virginia. 14 Cup wins to his credit, including 3 Daytona 500 victories. Some of his drivers included A.J. Foyt, Ernie Irvan, Mark Martin, and Sterling Marlin. Larry McClure was 81 years old. Coming up later today on FS2, the ARCA Menard Series takes to the track here at Lime Rock. Action starts at 4 Eastern. And then tonight, the Cup Series is under the lights at 7 Eastern on TNT. We wish our friends who are part of that broadcast for the next 5 weeks the best of luck. Back here at Lime Rock Park, stage 1 is in the books. Corey Heim led all of the laps so far. You see he maximized the points there, got 10, all the way down to Thomas Annunziata. He's not a regular in this series, so he doesn't get those points.
No points for you.
Otherwise, he'd take home 1, Michael.
What a
nice mix there, huh?
Performance for Corey Heim. We talked about our truck regulars give the advantage in the beginning of this race to the truckers, taking down 3rd and 4th there, the road course ringers that we brought to town.
Well, to nobody's surprise, Corey Heim happy with the truck, no adjustments, but I think pretty much everybody else behind him made some adjustments there.
Yeah, and on that points, just real quick, Ty Majeski, 2 points. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but when you're 19 points above the line, every point's going to matter here in these next few races before the playoffs start. For those adjustments, Jamie, we've heard all weekend a lot of drivers complaining about the left-hander. But Michael, I would have to imagine the crew chiefs say, you got to deal with the left-hander because there's only one. We got 6 right-handers.
And that's when you struggle they're all struggling as we're listening to the radios for grip up off, trying to get the gas down. Trevor, you talked about earlier, modulating the throttle, how you got to manage how much power you put to those rear tires. And everybody, it seems, is struggling with that.
Absolutely, and as those laps clicked on, we saw that issue get worse and worse and worse. So we heard Brian Patty talk about Jordan Taylor being an endurance racer. And Jamie, you said, does he know how short these are? That's a real thing. You have to figure out how hard can I go and what's going to abuse the tires to the point I have nothing left at the end of the run.
Let's take a look at the track map once again, remind people what they're dealing with.
You talked about the one left-hander. There it is, turn 3. Let's figure that one out because we gotta go right a lot of times. And we saw Tom Badon over on the uphill turn number 5 explaining the challenges there. And then we've seen guys running off the road in the downhill turn number 7, how important it is to get good momentum through that part of the corner. Just an awesome racetrack, a lot of fun to cover.
Absolutely, Michael. And you know, you have those challenges of those faster corners, but turn 1 is really the only braking zone where we've seen people have lockup, where they're using max pressure, having to get into that pedal after that long Sam Posey straightaway.
Well, Todd, that was the first pit stop of the day. What'd you see on the tires there?
Well, first I want to give an attaboy to Caden Honeycutt. This is his first road course race ever in anything. And he qualified 6th, and he's running 6th, doing a great job. But he came in for a pit stop, get that tire changed. I've never seen this before in my life. This tire delaminated. This is the actual rubber of the tire, the part that hits the racetrack. This is the cording underneath in what the carcass, it's called the carcass. And the whole spot of rubber came right off, and there's another one starting here. So he was running 6, running decent lap times. I told his crew chief, Phil, well, he get 4 good tires, he might go to the front. Jamie?
Good point.
I don't think that would surprise anyone. We've watched this young man. What a tremendous talent he is. So much ahead of him in his future with what he's done in a short period of time.
See, Caden Honeycutt is in the 45 truck. We'll restart 6th. As we're getting ready for our first restart of the day, Corey Heim on the inside in the 11 truck, Lane Riggs on the outside in the 34. Nose to nose, a little bit closer than the initial start.
Better launch for Lane Riggs there on the outside. Obviously going to try to dive down in, but Corey's got the advantage on the inside.
Through Big Bend.
A lot of tire smoke a little further back in the field. Oh, we got one off track as well. Corey's able to squeeze by Lane Riggs off of turn 2.
Everybody keeps it straight.
Oh, big chunk of dirt coming up there. That was Jake Garcia, I think, that hit that. Gio Ruggiero nearly out of room there. They
right on the edge of that.
3 wide there.
Corey Heim now with the advantage. He gets around Lane Riggs. Jordan Taylor back there in 3rd. Connor Mozak moving his way slowly but surely up, guys.
Got that right.
Gio Ruggiero looks to the inside of Grant Enfinger into turn 6. That curbing there, you want to stay off that. It's very aggressive as you climb up on it. Wasn't able to make the move.
Brent Cruz getting really aggressive there. Makes his move forward.
One of those Tricon trucks, right? Gio Ruggiero right behind him and Brent Cruz there.
A couple of McAnally Hildeman trucks there. The Napa truck for Daniel Hemrick. Racing along with Tyler Ankrum, the LiUNA truck.
Andres Perez, super fast all weekend. We see him on the inside. trying to catch Daniel Hemrick as well. Kind of going to be hung up on the outside through turn 3. Not ideal. But as you see if he can stay in the right position for turn 4.
66 is Cam Waters from Australia. Checking out the NASCAR scene here in America.
He runs the supercars over there, just like SVG that we've seen on Trek here, and making his 3rd start in the trucks.
3 wins in the supercar series, and we know how tough that is. Great job by this young man.
Scott McLaughlin came over to the States from Supercar Series. He's racing in the IndyCar Series.
These trucks are running just outside the top 15. Just so hard to pass, Trevor. We're seeing guys run basically the same speed, but they just can't get anywhere.
Yeah, those restarts are kind of everything to get 1, 2 positions. We've seen our biggest movers are only up 2 positions, so it's just tooth and nail. As you see Caden Honeycutt, I'm shocked, Michael, to hear Todd Bodine say never been on a road course in anything. We've talked about drivers who haven't been here, but they've at least run somewhere. So for Caden Honeycutt to be in the top 5 right now, I'm blown away by that.
And we don't test in this series, so if you're kind of new, you're watching the truck series for the first time, these kids don't get to go out and run trucks and get a bunch of laps. They had a practice session yesterday, they had a 20-minute qualifying session this morning, and then here you go.
What is it about Caden? You do this every week, Michael, but I feel like he gets overlooked a little bit for the speed that he's had in these 1.5 miles and, you know, just doing a great job.
He hasn't been overlooked by
not by you,
by me or Kevin Harvick. Kevin was the one that clued me in on him at the start of the season. He said, watch this young man. He's an extremely talented young short track racer. And then as soon as you see him get out on the big tracks, he can do that. Like you said, no road course experience. Here we are talking about him up inside the top 5. He's just special. There's some guys that come along every now and then and they get your attention right off the bat. And Josh, Caden Honeycutt is that guy for me.
Yeah, and you guys talked about the fact that he never been on a road course before. Well, it helps when you have a teammate in Ross Chastain who comes down from the Cup Series to race in the Truck Series from time to time, and you could pick his brain about things. And that's exactly what Caden did before getting in the truck and heading to Lime Rock. He talked to Ross Chastain about what he needs to know when it comes to racing on a road course in a truck, and got some good info that he's been able to put to work out here today. Another important thing to know about Caden Honeycutt, he's in a fight for a playoff spot. Despite having a great season so far, he is still just points above the cut line, so he knows whether he's good or not at road course racing. He needs to figure it out fast if he wants to make his way into the playoffs.
Well, he finished 3rd 2 of the last 4 races. That has helped his points position, but what Josh just said, 45 points to the good coming in to this race.
And Caden obviously good at understanding points. Was the 2024 Cars Tour champion last year. Kevin Harvick and Dale Jr.'s series on the short tracks.
Ty Majeski had a really solid qualifying effort. We saw him fall back early in the race, but now he's up to 7th position, moved a couple heads forward, a couple of spots forward from where he fell to. Looks like that 98 truck's coming alive now.
So we saw Brent Cruz was pushing Grant Enfinger, but he's fallen back. He's in 11th right now, trying to make up some ground here.
Yeah, lost 7 spots on that restart. Didn't quite see where he got moved or pushed out. He was 4th, so we know he was on the outside. We saw a few trucks hit the dirt there with Stuart Friesen and Jake Garcia, so could have just been pushed wide by not having that leverage into turn 1.
Grant Enfinger, after that off-road excursion in qualifying, steady and solid here in the race. Caitlin Grant's up to top 10. He's doing a great job.
Yeah, Michael, he certainly is. And he told me earlier that he's really focused on these road courses. It's been a big priority for him because they've been a struggle point for him over the years. So he said, I honed in on this particular craft, done year-long efforts versus starting preparation a month or so prior to the event. But Grant Enfinger is one of the mainstays, of course, in this truck series, telling me he just loves the trucks and being able to participate in a series that feels like a true grassroots racer series that is still engineering supported, of course, with the ability to build their own bodies and put more in the team's hands. So that's from one of the veterans in the series who's been here a while and loves being here in the trucks, Jamie.
And we love having Grant Enfinger here week in and week out, and they've really made something out of this team. It was all new for him last year, Michael, and they just picked up right where they left off.
You know, he talked about the focus. He only has 1 top 10 road course finish in 12 starts, so he knows it needs to have some attention. But I talked to him this morning after his off-road excursion, he said, "Damn driver." That was his comment about himself. So you're trying to get every bit of speed you can get, and sometimes you step over that line.
Well, and this shows here how important, again, back to those restarts it is, because Brent Cruz, we just talked about, running third, fourth, really fast, and now he's behind Grant. Cannot make the progress that he needs to make. Watching this battle here, a lot of our McAnally Hilgeman trucks in the frame, the ThorSport truck, the 66, Cam Waters, diving to the inside of Tyler Ingram into turn 1.
Battle for 14. Cam Waters trying to take it from Tyler Ingram. Can he do it as they work their way up to the left-hander?
Got the advantage, but he's going to be on the outside here. I think he's got him.
Cam Waters, 2 races in the Truck Series, both on ovals, but this is his thing, running on road courses, and he does it, Michael. Moves up 1 spot, Cam Waters to 14th.
Look how tight this is, Trevor. We've seen that all day long. Every time you look in your mirror, there's somebody trying to dog you.
Yeah, and this is frustrating. I ran here, gosh, 18 years ago in the K&N series, and you would catch someone an inch at a time. You get right behind him, you make 1 mistake, and you lose 5 feet. You got to restart. Tell yourself mentally, I just got to gain that little bit. Don't overdo it. When you try to gain a car length, you end up making a mistake here at Lime Rock.
Andres Perez qualified in the top 10. Great speed in that 77 truck right there. Got a lot of pressure from the 99 of Ben Rhodes.
And I like what Ben did there, Jamie. He knew that he could not get side by side with Andres, but his thought was, I'm going to dive to the inside. Maybe he'll overdrive it, make a mistake, slide up the racetrack. Andres was very disciplined not to do that, but sometimes when you cannot get that position, you just want to get them looking in their mirror a little bit, Michael.
That's right, and looking in the mirror is a big part of making sure you position yourself where you don't get passed in some of these corners, but also focusing out that windshield. That's something that's really important and hard to do for young racers. You know, you got a guy hounding you. You got to check out what he's doing, see if you can't hold him off. So pretty much a balance between forward and back.
22 laps to go here in stage number 2. So much action early. I think we're going to see a little bit more. Stay with us. back to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, live from Lime Rock Park. Jamie Little, Michael Waltrip, Trevor Bain with you, Todd Bodine, Josh Sims, and Caitlin Vinci on pit road, bringing you all of the action. As that man, Corey Heim, hasn't had to pass a truck for position all day. He has led every lap, and there is the gap back to second place, Lane Riggs, and Jordan Taylor in third.
Connor Mozak, another great job, strong at Pocono. We expected him to be good here. He's running in the 4th position. Brent Cruz, he was in the top 5 before that last restart. Kind of got shuffled back, but man, this has been a Corey Heim clinic.
And talking about Connor Mozak, the job he's been doing, he's up to 4th, Todd.
Yeah, Jamie, Connor doing a great job. You know, he's one of our regulars who actually has a lot of road course experience. We've talked about that. And I just spoke with his crew chief, Blaine Blakebridge, and Blake said that he gives the short run on the speed isn't really good. They said they're getting outrun on the restart, but the long run speed is there. And he gave 100% of the credit to Connor. He said this kid understands how to save these tires, not burn them off the first 10 laps of a run so that it keeps running at the end. Their lap times or their fall off is less than the leaders as their run goes. So Connor doing a great job using that road course experience to his advantage. Jamie?
Yeah, the 26-year-old from Charlotte, North Carolina, only been racing about 7, 8 years. So he's had to learn quickly, figuring out the ovals, but when he comes back here, this is his comfort zone, and he's showing it today.
I don't see how you can have much comfort at this racetrack, though, as winding and twisty as it is, and all the action is going on, not only with your hands driving, but also driving with your feet, using those brakes, gingerly squeezing the gas down. So much going on.
Thomas Annunziata, he's up 4 spots since the start of this race. Has been inching forward, as we mentioned earlier. Really somebody we thought could contend to maybe win this race. He has that much experience here at Lime Rock and in road courses in general.
First met Thomas Annunziata in the ARCA Menard Series, done a handful of those. He's run in the Xfinity Series 11 times, doing double duty today, and I think the track time's helping. He's on pole for the ARCA Menards race coming up later today.
Yeah, that's unique, right, Jamie? A lot of drivers want to run double duty so they can run the ARCA race, get laps, and then run the truck race. But here at Lime Rock, the schedule is actually flipped. You have truck drivers getting experience for the ARCA race later on.
We got 3 guys doing double duty. There you see Brent Cruz, Thomas Annunziata, and Dale Quarterly.
How about Dale, 64-year-old from Massachusetts.
Still on the lead lap is Dale Quarterly. Fun to see him get to do what he loves to do. He's been a driving machine his whole life, and still at 64 years old out there getting it done.
Working lap 55 here of 100 laps.
Fastest truck on the track last lap. Surprise news break. It was Corey Heim. So he's just continuing to lay down lap after lap. He stretched his lead out to about 5 seconds now over Lane Riggs. Lane was able to keep pace with him there for 6-8 laps, but now look at that Safe Flight truck just perfectly onto the front straightaway.
And I love watching this. You know, if we take a lap around with Corey Heim, you're going to see how controlled and how precise he is with every move that he makes with his truck. Never getting offline, never really sliding as you watch it go through 1 and 2. He gets to both of those curves. Now he's going to track out wide off of 2, arc it out for turn 3 a little bit. Watch how tidy he is through here. He gets it right to the curb, stays super low off that corner, and then sets up that winding back into turn 4.
And you talked about that being the technical part of that racetrack. He's perfect there, very precise. But now we're going to get to a little bit of the crazy part of the racetrack, and you're going to see this cat can get it done on any sort of combination of turns.
Yeah, see him going up that hill. He didn't use the runoff like we've seen some of those truck drivers do that are sideways, just very in control right to the edge of the curb as he comes down to turn 7 here. Wants to stay as low as he can for as long as he can, then tracks out right to that curbing. Just a very smooth lap.
Yes, it is. You can see that stopwatch by his name on the rundown there. That means he has the fastest lap of the race, and that's a point.
Who's surprised? Corey Heim.
Nobody. I'll tell you who's surprised now. Morgan and Muniz, because the leader is on your bumper.
For the second time today. Like you said, Corey has tremendous patience, especially when it comes to this. Setting up these lap trucks, planning his time, and I believe this is exactly where he passed him the first time. So he puts Frankie Muniz 2 laps down. So Corey has just over a 4-second lead over Lane Riggs, Jordan Taylor, Connor Mozak, and Caden Honeycutt. That's your top 5.
Well, we've talked about the quarterback a lot, right? But these crew chiefs, you know, Scott Zipadelli on that team, being able to listen to Corey, know the tone of his voice to get those trucks dialed in as we listen into Lane Riggs managing that throttle.
You run good at Pocono like Lane did. You got to expect you're going to be good on a road course. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of road racing experience, but it takes sort of the same type of skill sets to get it done at the tricky triangle. You can see Lane working those gears, and then there's Jordan Taylor, Michael Jordan.
One of them.
Taylor and Jordan. That's Denny's family.
Or what else do we call him?
Rodney
Sandstorm. His alter ego, the Jeff Gordon fan. If you follow him on social media, this guy has a heck of a personality, Jordan Taylor, but he's so fast on track.
I feel like he just gave it back to Jeff Gordon. We saw those Pepsi commercials for years with Jeff Gordon, faking people out on those ride-alongs, and then here comes Rodney Sandstorm, Jeff Gordon super fan. Pretty awesome.
They even have his name over the door there for the 7 truck. Brian Patty's got to be having fun with this driver behind the wheel. So let's meet Rodney Sandstorm. This happened during the pre-race. Look at this.
Jeff Gordon in his younger years. What's going on here?
This might be
let's go to break. Do we have security?
Say we go to break.
Look at that.
No, we need
a
to go
younger,
to break.
is that what Jeff?
That's Rodney Sandstorm.
I know, he's a big star.
You don't recognize him?
He's a big star. Nice to see you. This is Jeff 20 years ago, right? Is that
yeah, nice to meet you, Rodney. I think you should stay away from my daughter.
Thanks for coming by.
Oh, Michael, I think your brother literally thought that was a crazy fan.
Yeah, I think that was pretty funny TV, and Rodney is a great spirit, is his alter ego.
Caitlin, what do you have on Jordan?
Yeah, guys, well, I had a chance to talk to Jordan earlier, and he told me he loves coming over to the NASCAR side of things, describing it as a very different world, of course, from what he's used to with a more old-school feel. And he said there's also a lot less meetings, which I really have enjoyed, but he believes this road course experience is definitely going to help him today, describing this road course as a little bit more on the simple side, he said, with only 7 corners. But he said he's raced at Lime Rock, of course, many times, absolutely loves this venue. He said we refer to it as the bull ring of road courses, situated in a Coliseum-style setting in the hills with all the fans around. He said, I just absolutely love this place. Jamie?
Well, I love when he made his Cup Series debut. He couldn't believe how physical these drivers got compared to the sports car world he comes from.
I think it's some of the most worn out I've been after a Cup race on a road course, because of what Trevor pointed out early. Not only are you using your hands, but back and forth, you're using your core strength, your feet. Every part of you is a part of what has to happen to have success here.
40 laps to go from Lime Rock Park. Corey Heim continues to lead over Lane Riggs. it's baseball night in America on Fox, and two of the league's best face off as Kyle Tucker leads the Cubs against Jose Altuve and the Astros, or the Phillies take on the Braves. Check your local listings for the game in your area. That's tonight at 7 Eastern on Fox.
Inching in on a month away from MLB at the Bristol Motor Speedway on Fox. It's going to be a crazy event.
August 2nd, you are promoting it in New York this week, Michael. That's going to be fun.
And then we're going to rip the field up and have the Bristol Night Race come September.
Amazing what you can do at a racetrack. 7 laps to go here in stage number 2. Corey Heim continues to lead. Chandler Smith, haven't talked a whole lot about him. He's worked his way up to 5th, looking pretty solid here.
Nice job for Chandler. You see right in his rearview mirror, Caden Honeycutt. Chandler made that move.
And we saw Chandler sliding around at the end of that first stage. I'm noticing now the lap time fall-off is a lot less this run, like these drivers did learn. There's a limit. We saw the left rear on Caden Honeycutt's truck that came off with that big blister and delamination, so they realized we pushed it too hard that first 35 laps. We're going to back it down, make it last.
Josh, let's get an update on Chandler.
Yeah, Chandler Smith is one of our regulars who has 2 wins already on the season, back in the Truck Series for the 2nd time in his career. During that first stage, he struggled a little bit, especially in turns 1, 2, and 3. Told the team he needed more lateral, needed more drive off, so they made some adjustments to help him out, and it seems to be working in that truck. And, you know, Jamie, you talked about the fact that Chandler initially did not like road course racing. It took a switch in teams for him to figure out that he actually does like it and can excel at it. But I thought it was interesting when I talked to him yesterday. He told me, I'm able to make up speed in the braking zone. Trevor, Mikey, that sounds a little backwards. Can you explain how you make up speed when you're braking on the other drivers?
Yeah, absolutely, Josh. And here at Lime Rock, we only have one big braking zone, which is right here where you see Chandler diving to the inside of the 62 truck into turn 1. That is the advantage of a experienced road racer, somebody like Jordan Taylor. When he called it a simple road course, that's what he's referring to. There's only one big brake spike that you're looking for into turn 1. Everywhere else is almost like an oval where you're trying to roll speed. You're using a little bit of brake, back to the throttle early. And so, yeah, for Chandler Smith, if he's good in braking zones, that's great. Bad news is there's only one big one.
Well, Josh mentioned the adjustments that the 38 team made to that truck, and it certainly is working. He got around Caden Honeycutt in that 45 truck that we've been talking about, but now it's heating up again. Caden wants that spot back.
Caden probably was taking care of those tires a bit early in the run after getting word that one of his tires delaminated, and probably taking it easy, tiptoeing a little bit. Maybe it'll come back to him as the run finishes off here. Only 4 to go in this stage.
We'll have another opportunity to come down pit road. Those non-competitive stops, we call them modified live pit stops. So they'll have plenty of time to talk, discuss what they think they need for the 3rd and final stage. That's only 30 laps, guys. We're coming up on it quickly.
Love watching these guys work left and right. See Thomas Annunziata there, letting that back end hang out.
Yeah, and he's up 5 spots now since the beginning of the race, past the 71 of Rajat Karuth here recently. Now he's got some clean racetrack. He'll be able to see what kind of lap times he can make up at the end of this run.
Really smooth race for this kid. Infrequent runs he gets in NASCAR, and doing a nice job here today. Kind of got a benchmark up there ahead of him in Jordan Taylor in the 7 truck, his teammate, knowing that there's a lot of speed with those fire trucks today.
He has a teammate just behind him in Rajat Karuth there, holding down the top 10 like he has all race long. Guys, I can't get over how perfect the weather is. 2 days ago, it was 100 degrees. I mean, this whole country has been sweltering, and then all of a sudden, the cold front comes through, and we're racing in the mid-70s. And oh, by the way, we were supposed to have a bunch of rain today, and thankfully, that moved on out, and it's just been picture perfect.
As that, watching these trucks cut through the Connecticut countryside has just been a real joy here today. See him hop those curbs. That's a big part of road racing, right?
Yeah,
you got to learn how to manage those. They can help you at times. You can get your truck to turn better if you hang a tire on those.
You're exactly right, Michael. And here at Lime Rock, another unique thing is all those curbs on the inside of the corners, different sizes. We go down to the turn 1 here. You'll see it's not a very big curve on the inside. You can kind of climb it just a little bit, get close to it, and then push up. You can get the one off of turn 2. It's even smaller than that when you see in turn 1.
Cam Waters didn't hesitate jumping up over that curve, did he, as he went down into turn 1?
Getting all of it. So, but as you get to turn 6, where we picked up Thomas Annunziato a little bit ago, man, that curve you got to stay off of. It is aggressive. Here's a turn 2 curve.
Josh Balicki in the 44 trying to hold off Jake Garcia in the 13.
Battle for the 18th position. Looks like Jake's a little quicker right now than Balicki.
Garcia thinking about those points that he wants. It's the final lap of stage number 2.
There's a good shot of squeezing over the curb to help that truck turn, transition from straightaway to corner.
There's our leader, Corey Heim. Just done everything perfect today.
You know, we talk about Heim time, but this time Heim is in a different zip code. I mean, this is crazy, the dominance he's showing.
He won the last 2 road course races. As he comes out of the final corner, you'll see the green and white flag in the air. Unbelievable. 5th time this season Heim has swept both stages. And right there, officially, he picks up his 14th stage win of the year.
And his 5th stage 2 win in a row. I mean, just unprecedented. Never has happened before in the Truck Series.
The only guy to lead this historic racetrack, first time here. Will it be Heim time? We'll find out. 1 stage remaining. Bryson, Kepka, Rom, Phil, and DJ. Some of the biggest names in golf are headed for a Texas shootout. It's Live Golf Dallas. Catch coverage around 2. That's coming up next right here on Fox.
Harold Varner III, my buddy from Gastonia, North Carolina. He's in contention here, so Live Golf's fun on Fox.
They have a good time. It's a big party.
Yes, it
those
is.
Events. It's been a big party today. Saying 30,000 fans turned out. No grandstands, all just kind of camped out with their chairs and blankets. As you see the drivers make their way down pit road, they'll come to a stop. Nobody can work on the trucks until every truck comes to a stop and NASCAR gives them the go-ahead. These are modified live stops. Looks a lot different than what we see typically.
How beautiful is that, though? Countryside covered up with NASCAR fans watching these trucks compete here.
You know,
waving at us. Hello, everybody.
They've seen so many different forms of racing up here, but to see NASCAR trucks, this is a first time that this truck series has ever raced in this state. So I love to see new fans coming out, maybe that don't know about NASCAR, checking it out for the first time.
You know, when I went to the Northeast for the first time in NASCAR, I went to New Hampshire, and I was like, wow, there's NASCAR fans up here too. You know, they're everywhere. We actually raced here at Lime Rock and raced at Thompson in Connecticut and all over the Northeast, and just the fans love it, you know, and I think this is great that they're getting to see NASCAR trucks on their home track.
I love it. They had jackets this morning. Now they're in their T-shirts, and they have officially been given the go-ahead 3 minutes to work on the trucks, Caitlin.
Yeah, taking a look at the 7 truck of Jordan Taylor, P3 in both stages so far. Just listening into his radio, he said he felt a bit touch better since those last pit stops, but he said, I lost a little bit of front grip, but I gained on rear grip with the last change. So that's the updates on the 7. Josh?
Well, for the 34 of Lane Riggs, said he was tight in 1 and 2, and that transition to 3 and 4 just upset the nose of that truck. He felt like he didn't have the drive off he needed. Now, they made an air pressure adjustment in stage 1. At the end of stage 1, that is, he came over the radio and said it lasted for about 25 laps, so he wants more of that air pressure adjustment, hoping it helps him out this next run. As far as the 11 of Corey Heim, what a dominant run. 71 laps led. He swept the stages so far. He's been here before and not taken it home, so let's see if he can come home with the win here today. But they debated changes. He said no, he feels good about that truck, so he's just going to get tires and ride this one out, guys.
All right, Josh, so that means the 11 truck, 0 changes, tires and fuel, and that is it for this dominant race truck tonight. Well, stage 1 and 2 have gone caution-free one time. Well, since 21, we did it today. Welcome back to beautiful Lime Rock Park, nestled inside Connecticut's scenic Northwest Hills. And she is showing off today. Absolutely gorgeous. And our Todd Bodine, he's been taking us around this track. Todd, where are you now?
Well, this time, Jamie, I'm down here in the inside of turn 7, which to me is probably the most important corner on the racetrack. Earlier, I showed you where they come up the hill. This time I want to show you where they come down the hill on the back straightaway, leading into turn 7. And when you come down this hill into turn 7, you're carrying a lot of speed. And that's what turn 7 is about, carrying speed, carrying momentum, because it leads you onto the front straightaway, the longest part of the race course, and you can outbrake someone 5 miles an hour over your competitor through this corner. You can actually draft them down the front, pull out, and outbrake them in the corner. But when you carry that extra speed through this corner, it comes with a risk, a price you might pay at one time. We've seen many drivers drive off the edge of the racetrack on exit, kicking up that dust. That's because they're pushing it right to the limit through this corner. And if you go over that edge, you're going to have a big problem on the exit of the corner. But everybody I talked to in the garage area, all the drivers said, you must respect turn 7, but you have to get through there the best you can. Jamie?
We've seen a lot of dirt kicked up inside turn 7 throughout today, and I think we're going to see a little bit more. Things are going to crank up a bit here for this final 30 laps in this final stage.
Yeah, I think, to Todd's point, there's a high risk, high reward, right? You got to make it count. Can't get too much.
Well, I mentioned that we went caution-free for those first 2 stages. Hadn't done that since 2021. We've only had 2 cautions, and that, of course, was for both stage breaks. Corey Heim continues to lead, and then Lane Riggs, he will restart next to Corey Heim like he did last time. He did a nice job going into Big Bend through turns 1 and 2, but just could not.
And this is a big decision for the drivers. We saw the 1 of Brent Cruz get pushed out wide. We saw the 52, the 13. We saw a few go off track there. So this lane, you see the orange arrow, that's where drivers can select. Do I want to start on the inside or the outside? And in all the pre-race meetings, they try to discuss how many rows would I be willing to give up to be on the inside. I think we're going to see here some drivers elect that the inside is more important than maybe being forward a row.
Look how narrow that is around the choose zone. Everybody's pretty much...
There's Caden Honeycutt. He's the first one to give up a row,
right,
to stay on the inside.
Pretty universal.
Brent Cruz
other than
to
Honeycutt.
the inside.
We're going to get racing here. Love it.
See a couple more take the inside there to give up a row. Yeah, to me, Michael, being in the right place is more important than maybe one spot.
Yes, sir. You mentioned it, Trevor. Lane did a nice job on that last restart. He was right there, but just couldn't hold pace. Let's see if he can maybe make the move, get around Corey Heim, and take the lead.
The rest of the field, when the leaders take the green, you'll see as we go down the hill here, you see that they're adding a lap. The lights are back on the pace truck. But as we go down turn 7 into that restart zone, everyone except the leaders are still in that corner. It makes it really tough to get a launch when you have wheel input and you're still turning. You see the sign on the right there. That's the beginning of the restart zone.
And they can go.
Taking off right there. And it's advantageous for that front row to go as soon as they can, because that puts the other trucks behind them in that corner, creates that little bit of a gap.
Trevor, you had me all fired up. I was ready to go.
I was going.
I was ready to go racing. And
I feel like you're going to miss a shift on the chip over there beside me, all revved up.
You already put another lap on me here.
See the AMR crew over there picking something up on the racetrack. That's why they added an extra lap. You know, we talked about this is the first time that the Craftsman Truck Series has ever raced in the state of Connecticut, but we do have a couple of drivers that you see racing on Sundays. They've gotten it done in the Truck Series. Joey Logano from Middletown, Connecticut, and Ryan Priest from Berlin, Connecticut. Ryan Priest, by the way, he's putting together a great month of racing, trying to push for those playoffs. Look at that.
He is, and these two drivers couldn't have really had more different careers. Joey Logano was this young guy, comes in, gets a deal at Roush Fenway first at 15 years old, then Joe Gibbs Racing. Ryan Priest ran modifieds until, 3-4 years ago, he gets an opportunity to go run a Joe Gibbs Racing car, runs really well, and then teams start to see and notice him, and he gets more opportunity. But, had to fight for it, had to run those modifieds for a long time in the Northeast.
Hey, Joey Logano, by the way, starting on pole for tonight. They're racing under the lights.
Echo Park Speedway, Atlanta. It's been a lot of fun to watch those cars and trucks race at Atlanta, hasn't it?
And Fords at super speedway type tracks, drafting tracks, you know, they're always tough to beat. Joey having that track position and being up front already, he'll be tough to beat.
Wonder if the looks like the pace truck is stopping because somebody is leaking some oil onto the racetrack, and need to figure out how that's happening. And that's what I think this is about. Not only to clean it up, but find out where it's coming from.
Bring them to a halt here as they get that cleaned up. There's the team. They are on it.
Yeah, you see that front truck with the number 3 on it. That's a speedy dry dispenser. They'll be looking to lay some of that down.
We saw this yesterday. Wesley Slimp, he was had a tire blow and it cut his oil line, and all over the racetrack oil went down. The team did a great job of getting it cleaned up, and that's exactly what they're faced with here.
But this is interesting because we didn't have an incident, so somebody is leaking fluid under caution.
And they barely caught that at the last second. We were about to go green right into the front stretch, and
that would have been wild, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
So they are bringing out the red. As you see, the trucks are stopped, but the crowd having a good time. Look at that. A lot of families around here today, a lot of camping, a lot of costumes. They don't
a little
mind
bit
the
of everything
stoppage.
here.
That's right. They'll continue to clean up on the front stretch. The Sam Posey straight with some fluid. Get that cleaned up and we'll step aside. 27 laps remaining from Lime Rock Park. You won't want to miss it. Who will take home the first win here? Well, following this race, we have quite a big gap, a few weeks off, but then we're going back racing, short track style. That's Lucas Oil Raceway Park in Indianapolis. That always puts on a great show. Friday, Under the Lights, July 25th. Looking forward to that. We certainly have had fun today. I'm glad that you're joining us. Jamie Little, Trevor Bain, Michael Waltrip with you. You see the red flag displayed right now. Did not expect this. We have not had incidents that have brought out any additional cautions today, but suddenly we have fluid on the track. So we're trying to find, first off, the truck that is leaking that
Yeah,
fluid,
we got to get that squared away. But I tell you what, Trevor, road courses are very physical. You're going left, you're going right, you're using your core, you're using your arms, your feet. I've never been hotter in a race car than I was at Sonoma one day when they had a red flag, stopped, and trying to get water. But fortunately today the temperatures are relatively cool, so I think the guys are probably pretty cool inside of those trucks. What are you doing right now? How are you trying to figure out how you're going to beat Corey Heim? Is that what drivers are thinking?
Absolutely. They know right now the restart is the best opportunity to go and pass whatever truck it is in front of them. It might be Corey Heim for the lead, but it might be somebody else for 10th place. You got to figure out how to take advantage of this restart, because once we get single out, we've seen it's been very tough to continue to make pace. I think a lot of these drivers get stuck just kind of following and visually watching the truck right in front of them as we see that water getting handed out that you talked about. They're picking those bottles back up.
Not an attaboy to these crews running around offering water. But you said it, Michael, it's mid-70s. It's just beautiful. But I think it's more inside the driver's mind. You have all this extra time to think about what can you do.
Well, and for us, I think we're watching to see if they're going to continue to behave the way that they have so far. We've had 2 stages with 0 cautions, and so we'll see if they can keep that trend or if business is about to pick up.
Behave, he said.
That's right.
I haven't seen these truckers behave this long all year long, so who knows what's next?
The one that is behaving is the 11, Corey Heim. Let's hear from his crew chief, Josh.
Yeah, standing alongside Scott Zipadelli, and I do want to clean one thing up. He did tell me they made an air pressure adjustment after stage number 1, so they did make an adjustment, Jamie, but swept the stages. What are you telling your driver about getting this thing to victory lane now?
I think all we got to do is have a good, clean restart and just hit his marks, run his own laps, and let it work its way out. But if they could make adjustments to the trucks behind us and make the trucks better, but if we execute a good restart, get all the way through turn 5 clean, hopefully we don't have a lot of cautions going forward and we can pull this thing off.
Sounds simple enough. Good luck the rest of the way, Scott.
So cool, calm, and collected. That's Scott Zipadelli.
And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but we've seen this story before. I think he could have won 10 races just as easily as won 4. It's just been problems late that have really got these guys. So they've got to have that, not only Zipadelli, but also Corey. That's got to be in the back of his mind. What could go wrong today? We saw it last week at Pocono. Really in contention, competitive, and didn't close the deal because of a flat tire.
How about a little extra motivation for Mr. Zipadelli? He's from Connecticut, Berlin, nice. Same place as Ryan Preece. That's pretty special if you can get it done here today. Well, it certainly has been theirs to lose.
Well, I hope he didn't hear me say that then. I don't want to rain on his parade. They've had a great day. I don't want to see anything go wrong, but it has happened before this year.
Well, for Scott, he knows he's done his job, right? Every time they show up to the track, these trucks are lightning fast. They know, we talked about all the sim prep. He knows that offset. What is real in sim versus what I need at the racetrack? He's able to give that to Corey Heim. They both have that demeanor that you talked about, calm, cool, collected. That's not something we see at the racetrack all the time. So they've got their bearings, even when they've been rattled late in a race, when something's happened, it's a flat tire, it's somebody using them up. So to them, they're saying, we've checked all the boxes, we've put ourselves in position, it is what it is from this point on.
It's pretty neat when you look at the history here at Lime Rock Park. It opened in 1957, but some of the legends who've won here, Mario Andretti, Dan Gurney, Paul Newman, Scott Pruitt, the list goes on. And now today, somebody gets to add their name to that list. It's going to be special, and we're going to find out. The laps are ticking. They are counting these laps. As Corey Heim patiently waiting for this restart. Lane Riggs on the outside.
We've seen this before, Jamie. Lane Riggs, Corey Heim, my goodness.
They're ready, but we are waiting an extra lap.
Been a heck of a year for Corey Heim. Everything went right, and a lot of things turned wrong late, as I mentioned.
4 times he's found victory lane, but
this was at Homestead. The truck just cut off middle of the race. He kept turning it back on. Then we go to Martinsville, that late race restart. Gets run up the track. Left rear cuts down.
Rockingham, bad pit strategy. Not something that we typically see from this team.
Pit gun there at Kansas. No good for him. Right here, who's on the front row? Lane Riggs, Corey Heim. How about North Wilkesboro? They get together, it's run off the racetrack.
And around he goes. Another victory slips away late. Pocono strategy was all over. Everything was set. Final restart. Everything's perfect.
This was unbelievable. You all had just said on air, Corey Heim, something happens. And he comes over the radio, he says, I think I've got a right rear going down. They come over. Absolutely, that's what's happening. Has to bring it to pit road when they took the green flag. So for him right now, he's looking at the racetrack for any debris. He's like, I cannot run over anything to get a flat. I've got this guy, Lane Riggs, beside me. Thankfully, he's won a race now, so maybe we can get through these corners. It's not as much on the line. But you look back through the field, and there are not as many drivers that have had those wins. 5th place, Ty Majeski, we've mentioned, needs a win. Connor Mozak right there in 4th. These guys are going to be going for it on this restart.
Look at this. Most laps led this season, 964. Raja Caruth, second most, 189. It has been incredible as they work their way down over the Sam Posey Straight. It's going to be Corey Heim and Lane Riggs finally. That pace truck will pull off. Be 24 laps to go. The third and final stage of this race. Back in the air, nose to nose, down
side
the
by
straight.
side. Look at Riggs trying to side draft that 11 truck. Really crowding him down that front straightaway.
Fanning out, little contact behind him.
Craftsman out wide, he's gonna end up in the dirt here.
Straight through the grass. Do we stay green here? He's able to keep it straight. Corey Heim with the advantage, back to the lead.
He worked all day long to make his way inside the top 20 and just saw how hard it was to pass now Craftsman all the way back to last. That's gotta hurt.
Connor Mozak able to make some gains there. We saw Jordan Taylor slip back to 5th from 3rd place.
Caden Honeycutt just cannot shake Chandler Smith. These two have been going at it all race long.
Whoa. Brent Cruz trying to get inside of Raja. As you see, Grant Enfinger is going to take advantage of that battle. Grant's just been solid all day long. Gets another spot there.
9 truck into the 9th spot.
Brent Cruz now sets up that run off of turn 7. We talked about they're 3 wide as they enter into turn 1. Thomas Annunziata on the inside, that road course racer, he's going to try to outbrake both and is able to do so for the first part of the corner.
Wow,
One of those drivers here just for the win, that Thomas Annunziata. We have quite a few of them. They don't have to think about the big picture and points.
Getting used up a little bit there. Brent Cruz sideways off of 2, able to recollect it there and stay in front of Grant Enfinger, who had just gotten by on the front stretch.
What about the intensity? I told you as we got toward the closing of this race, these guys are going to start pushing and shoving, and that's exactly what we're seeing.
Look at Cam Waters, up 4 positions, knocking on the door of a top 10.
Look at those big moves, diving out of line, trying to get any space they can.
So good.
Passing is at a premium. A lot of battling. Tanner Gray there inside of Jake Garcia. As you see Corey Heim just continuing to put a little bit of distance between he and Lane Riggs.
Daniel Hemrick dives to the inside of his teammate Tyler Ankrum. Issue here for Craftsman.
Saw him go off course, brought it down pit lane. Meanwhile, the rest of the field, Corey Heim up front running about 95 miles per hour. Ben Rhodes, Tyler Ankrum back there in the 99 and 18.
Yeah, Daniel Hemrick not having the weekend I expected for him. Has been around 20th place most of the day and 19th now. Both of his previous truck starts on road courses were top 5s, Michael. He would have been a name with his Cup experience and Xfinity experience. I would have thrown in the hat to be a top 5, maybe a top 3 guy here.
I couldn't agree with you more. It started in practice. Never did show much speed in that 19 Napa truck. Currently, number 19 is in 19th, where he's been most all day.
Tanner Gray right behind him.
Tanner recovered from that early off-track excursion. Competitive inside the top 20. Jake Garcia is looking him over in that 13th truck.
So much more dirt on the racetrack, the most we've seen all weekend. Jack Wood side by side with Matt Mills.
Battle for the 22nd spot. See Dawson Sutton looking on. Good battling all the way throughout the field. This is what we've seen all day.
There's the leader. As he crosses the line, we've reached our Craftsman 20 to go. A 1 second lead over Lane Riggs. Riggs has shrunken that gap a little bit from what we've seen today.
Well, that time by, they both ran a 55.40, exactly the same time. So that tells you Lane's on the gas and having as good a lap times as he's had all day.
And you've got to wonder here, how much do you plan for a late race restart? You know, if you're Corey Heim, Lane Riggs, if Lane's pushing 42
Matt
goes
Mills
around,
goes around.
Look at the dirt on the nose.
But if you feel like you've got a little gap, you got to take care of that thing. You know, you don't need a 7-second lead now. You don't need to check out from third place by that much. If you're Lane Riggs, you probably push as hard as you can to go put pressure on Corey. But for Corey, I would imagine you just do everything you can just to maintain a 1, 2, 3 second lead here. Right on the edge of that grass as they turn in, maximizing that angle.
Big bend, 1 and 2, then we're over to the only left-hander here on the circuit. Corey just precise all day long. Hasn't really put a wheel crooked all day. And everybody else is just on the edge, trying all they can to cut into his margin of dominance.
Connor Mozak just behind the 34. Talked about what a nice job he's done today. Got himself moved up into the 3rd spot.
What about this variety of races? We got a couple of short tracks, another road course. Majeski's so good a year ago.
You look at, you know, the playoff standings and the intensity.
This is crazy. Look at this, 3 spots remain, and there's only 3 races after today to lock yourself in.
Well, and with those races you just mentioned, you talk about Ty Majeski at road courses. He won IRP in Richmond last year, so he's got a shot at winning one of those. That knocks out a spot. Caden Honeycutt, we mentioned earlier in the show how impressive he has been everywhere. First time at this road course, or any road course, running in the top 7. We have Watkins Glen on the schedule coming up, and we know anybody can win there as things get dicey. And so this could be the season that we see 10 winners to make 10 spots in the playoffs for the Truck Series.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Gio Ruggiero get a win in one of these final 3 races. He's been solid all year long.
And a great short track racer. That's the background he comes from. Has shown a lot of speed.
And don't count on their buddy Grant Enfinger. He's won at IRP before. He can get it done there as well.
And Ben Rhodes, a 2-time champion. He's got a different crew chief now. We'll see if they stick with that program after this little break that we'll have. And he's in a must-win at this point. He's so far outside of the bubble, but he can do it.
I still think it's just so cool watching him slipping and sliding up off the downhill turn there. Just so much power down, trying to take advantage of that long front straightaway.
Jordan Taylor, first truck race. He's kept it in the top 5 all day long.
Done a nice job getting used to this vehicle.
Guys, I get a little PTSD when I come back to Lime Rock. My first ever test at a road course was at this track. Mike Gricci that runs Spire Motorsports, phenomenal guy. He still gives me a hard time about it. I saw him last weekend at Pocono, and he had to bring up the story. It was raining here. I get off in the grass, slide into the tires, take my steering wheel off, lay it on the dash. Nobody can hear you inside the car, right? Well, the button was keyed up, and I'm breathing heavy. I said, Gricci's gonna kill me. And every time I see him, he's like, no, I'm not gonna kill you, man. You'll be all right.
Great memories of all the challenges we've had getting up to the big leagues of NASCAR. And that's where these guys are today, looking to make it to Cup one day.
Corey Heim, he's done it all today, including the fastest lap of the day. You see that little clock. He continues to lead by 1.3 seconds over Lane Riggs. 16 laps to go from Lime Rock. Welcome back to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, racing from Lime Rock Park. You stepped aside, you didn't miss anything. Dawson Sutton saw he had an issue, but we stay green, 13 laps to go.
Uh-oh.
Another off-road excursion for the 88.
Craftsman was on pit road for an unscheduled stop. Corey Heim's able to work his way. And there's Dawson Sutton. We talked about his tire left rear's flat on it. See if we can figure out how that went down. Whoa. Lost his tread. Or
Ooh, another 3 feet, and that would have been a yellow flag. That thing rolled out onto the racetrack.
well, don't tell that to Corey Heim.
Absolutely not.
We don't need that aggravation if you're Heim. Would you call this a walk in the park?
Uh-oh.
Since we're at Lime Rock Park for Corey Heim?
Like he couldn't stop it.
Yeah, sometimes when you lose a tire like that, it'll cut a brake line. You have no pressure on the pedal to be able to slow it down.
Been watching the battle for ninth. Thomas Annunziata and Brent Cruz right here. It's been fun to watch. They've been slicing and dicing back and forth. We're going to see more of this later if you want to see a little more racing, because we have a lot more for you. 4 o'clock on FS2, the Arc Menard Series race. These two will be going at it, and Annunziata starting on pole.
Brent Cruz second. They've got the front row, so it'll be a good battle.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Matt Mills
You
off
just said
track
it.
once again.
Why'd you have to bring Corey Heim into this, Michael?
Well, it's happened repeatedly this year. Late race drama. I don't think Mills is going to get going.
I don't either. He's stuck there. You see the rear end trying to get some traction.
He's on the lead lap until this off-road excursion.
Mills was 24th at the time that he went off-road, and the caution is out. This is the first caution we've had for incident. Not what Corey wanted to see.
Nope.
The third official caution of the day.
Off of turn 1. That's those tires I mentioned from my off-road excursion there for Matt Mills. Once you drop a left side off in turn 1, it just, sometimes it feels like it picks up speed through the grass until you get to the tires. That's where Grant Enfinger went off in qualifying.
So now what?
See if we can see what happens. Oh, wow, straight off the road. I think that's a brake issue, Trevor?
Brake or the lack of braking at the right time. I'm not sure, Michael, if he was locked up going into it or if he just didn't have enough brakes. Jamie, you say now what? Now you reset, you get your mind right for another restart. I don't believe we'll see our front guys come and get tires here because we've seen how difficult it is to get track position back. The leaders, we mentioned trying to take care of those tires. You don't need a 7-second lead. That's exactly why you saw Corey taking his time. Didn't need to extend that lead. Take care of it as much as we can. Now he's going to restart on the bottom again. Hopes he gets a good launch and has that leverage that he's had every time through turn 1 on Lane Riggs. But Lane wants to stay on the outside.
We're under caution for the third time today. Just 10 laps to go from Lime Rock. Stay with us. A beautiful day and a great crowd taking in their first NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race at Lime Rock Park. The weather has been on our side. And I just love this racetrack. It's opened in 1957. They never added bleachers. You bring what you want to sit in. If it's a chair, it's a blanket.
That's like when I go to Sonoma now as a fan, I just wander around everywhere, go to the corners, go to the S's, that's what it's all about, just taking in the event. That's what I love about NASCAR racing. So much of it is just an event. The racing is awesome, but hanging out with your family, sitting on a hillside, taking it all in, that's pretty special.
Are you a blanket or a chair guy on the
I'm a blanket guy. I like to carry my blanket in my backpack.
Bring your picnic basket.
That's right.
Your cold beverages.
A couple of cold beers, maybe.
Filling tires going on the 88 truck of Matt Crafton.
It's got some issues. There you see the Menards Ford. Been a rough day for Matt. Got off track one time and it's just been a struggle. Wesley Slim, another guy that's been on a bit of the struggle bus today, lap down. Now he's, I don't know if he's out of power.
Michael, Matt Crafton was a free pass there. I know it's going to be hard to get everything back that he lost in turn 1 and 2, but new tires we've seen fall off be a real thing lap time wise.
But we also
think this is a good opportunity for him to maybe get some spots back.
We've also seen passing being a very, very difficult thing, and he's going to have the whole field ahead of him. Connor Mosack, you got to give it up for him. He's done a nice job. There's Matt in that beautiful bright yellow number 88. Connor Mosack, just a great run at Pocono, and now a road racer, grew up road racing, and now he's in a position to go win a truck race. You know, what will he do? Will push come to shove for him, knowing what's on the line?
Great story for Connor Mosack. You mentioned his run last week, finished 6th. Started out racing because he went to a driving school in Charlotte and fell in love with it at 16 years old. He started out later than most. There's the 62 with Slimp having to get a little help.
Well, road courses now have just taken such a prominent place in our sport. You know, you think about Shane Van Gisbergen in the Cup Series. He wins at Mexico City, has a spot in the playoffs. I think we're seeing the development of young drivers. Think about Keelan Harvick with Kevin. You know, he put him in the road course carts very early on. Chase Elliott did the same thing. You know, you think about Connor Zilic. We're seeing this happen more and more, even as I start to think about my kids, if they want to race, where would I send them? It's not always just the easy answer of go to a dirt oval like it used to be. Now I think you have to incorporate some kind of road racing into their development to be ready for these moments.
Well, you took Levi
yesterday
to the track here just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, got him behind the wheel.
Probably one of the most expensive decisions I've ever made was to go there yesterday. Not because of what yesterday was, but because of what my next 15 years will probably be, Michael.
I think he had fun.
Oh, he's got a big smile on his face.
Speaking of Shane Van Gisbergen and what he did at Chicago, our leader, Corey Heim, will be behind the wheel for 2311, racing in Chicago next weekend for the 4th of July. And he's prepared. He's good on road courses because he had to do it in ARCA. He's had to do it here in the Truck Series.
You think he's good on road courses?
Maybe just a little bit. How about picture perfect?
Today, for sure.
He's led every lap today. Turned the fastest time, won both stages, going for his 3rd straight road course win.
If we've learned anything, we can't hand out the trophy yet, that's for sure, especially right now with what we're dealing with. And
Corey will tell you that too, by the way.
Absolutely, and as much as I'd love to see him close this out with the dominant day he's had, you have 3, 4, 5 hungry truck drivers behind him that are going to do everything they can to find an advantage on this next restart.
We've seen in qualifying Jordan Taylor sliding his front tires. We've seen wheel hops. Any one of those things can take this win away from Corey Heim late as we're choosing it up here.
Jordan Taylor in the 7 truck.
Gio Ruggiero picking the inside.
Tyler Ankrum on the out.
Andres Perez, I saw him there. That's a name I expected to say a little more today in the front. As good as he was in practice and qualifying.
I think they were practicing choosing, Trevor.
Practicing choosing? Okay, perfect. Do it again.
Choose it up next time.
Maybe it's like once one person does it, you're like, did I hear that wrong?
I gotta make sure I get on the right side of this thing.
You don't want to run over that. If you don't choose and you run over that orange arrow there, it is a penalty to go to the back. So these drivers if I see somebody doing it, I'm going to go ahead and make my choice too.
Andres Perez, talked about him quite a bit between practice yesterday, qualifying this morning. The driver from Mexico City, Mexico, made his Xfinity debut just a couple weekends ago at his home track. That was pretty exciting for him.
How exciting was that for Suarez?
Oh my gosh.
That's so cool that he got to celebrate in his home country.
Got to go to Mexico City and see that for these guys. And Daniel Suarez said this, just being here is as big as contending for a championship. And I'm sure Andres Perez was thinking the same thing, Caitlin.
Yeah, it certainly was. Had a chance to talk with Andres about his rookie campaign. He said it's been up and down. He said, I often felt like I deserved better finishes than what the scorecard showed. But he felt, of course, very confident coming here based on all of his road course racing background. But you guys were talking about the fact that he's from Mexico City. He said, I actually spent the greater portion of my career in Mexico, and I had to come here, learn the language, learn the culture of the United States. He said, it hasn't been easy, but I do feel like my efforts are starting to pay off. Jamie?
Yeah, when he was running full-time in the ARCA Series, he was flying back and forth racing in a Mexican Truck Series championship and going to school. He was doing it all. He won the championship in ARCA last year, and now here making a name for himself in the Craftsman Truck Series. Choosing it up.
For real this time. Wonder if anybody picked different this time, Michael. I think I messed that up the first time.
It was just practice.
Practice.
See if we can get a picture-perfect restart here for Corey Heim. Got to execute.
Tires, get them cleaned up. A lot of rubber on this racetrack. Want to make sure you don't do anything to get wheel spin here.
Be 5 laps to go.
Down turn 6.
I know Corey Heim has dominated, but it certainly has been fun. There's so much to watch, so much action on a road course.
And here we go again.
And we're going to see more of it now. Corey Heim on the inside where he has restarted all day long, leans on Lane Riggs on the outside. They're fanning out behind him.
Oh, in the dirt.
Sam Posey straight all the way down into Big Bend, turn 1.
Give the advantage to Lane.
They lock him up all over the place.
He locked it up, and around goes
Jordan
the 7.
Taylor. In the grass, it looks like Raja. Chaos, that's the most we've seen on a restart today, but look, Corey Heim runs away.
See Andres Perez coming back on track, Jordan Taylor blending back in. It looks like everyone got back going except for Raja.
I haven't seen Raja yet.
Have some damaged trucks after that restart.
Oh, Brett Cruz off. There's Raja Cruz coming back on.
Wow.
Shuffling, and just like that, Corey Heim, Ty Majeski into second, Gio Ruggiero.
Keep in mind, that was the first restart we've seen on old tires. They've been on brand new tires every time, and when you go into turn 1 expecting a certain amount of a grip and you don't have it, you're going to slide a lot more, and that's been the case all the way around the racetrack.
Look at this top 5. Ben Rhodes up to 4th. Cam Waters, the Australian, in
Gio Ruggiero, 3rd.
Well, Ty Majeski, he's second. What a crazy restart.
Check this out here. You see the 34 of Lane Riggs gets in deep, and everyone kind of follows him down in there as he locks up as they check up. Just everybody getting into everybody there.
Raja all the way toward the fence. You see what Frankie Muniz is seeing here.
Probably a lot of dirt and dust flying, if I can imagine.
I think the spotter's saying, back her down. We got a mess up here.
Ooh. That Jack Wood sitting in the middle of the racetrack.
Nice job by Frankie.
Trucks all over. Middle of the racetrack, on the left, on the right, and we stayed green.
Lane Riggs all the way back to 13th position after that missed turn 1. Josh Balicki in the 44, he's up in the 7th spot. Just a big mix-up after that restart, but nothing's different at the front.
Ty Majeski earning a few spots on that restart.
Look at there, still slipping and sliding though, Trev.
Absolutely.
Majeski would like to see if he has anything for that 11 truck. Hanging tight with him right now.
I'm so impressed by 4th spot Ben Rhodes. He just maximized on that restart. Did he really gain 12 spots just avoiding the chaos?
Remember when they were practicing choosing? He chose right. He chose right.
He chose.
There's Ben Rhodes.
Nice run for the 99 truck.
He lives in Kentucky, your home state, Michael, and he was I talked to him this week. He was driving up to Sandusky, Ohio, where his team is based. He goes up there every week. He said, we're getting creative with our setup. Don't know what to expect. Road course racing isn't his favorite thing to do, but heck, what a run.
Well, this is Ben Rhodes. He always seems to be able to find a way every year, even in the playoffs, to just survive and make it to the end of these. And it's paid off again for him today. We thought we were going to see this thing play out pretty calm, but obviously a late race restart in a Truck Series race.
That's craziness. You're going to see it every time.
But Corey Heim just continues to dominate here. A lap and a half to go. And Gio Ruggiero,
Nice job for Gio again.
20 years old, just 2 spots behind his teammate, Corey Heim. There he is.
Take the white flag this time here, Jamie.
Corey Heim will be relieved to see that fly
Absolutely.
in the air. Once you take the white flag, the next flag will end the race, whether that's a caution or the checkered flag. Final lap for Corey Heim.
I'd like to say, you know, maybe his backs are down just a little bit on this last lap, final lap, but the last lap he was 2/10 faster than the field. So no backing it down at this point for that 11 truck, just executing perfectly.
Corey Heim, the 22-year-old from Marietta, Georgia. Doing unbelievable things, rewriting the record books and laps led, stage wins, domination. We talk about him all the time. He is going to be a Sunday racer next weekend. He will be.
And I believe already, Jamie, he is a Sunday guy that's racing on Fridays and Saturdays.
Absolutely, he is. And there it is, down the Sam Posey Straight. Checkered flag is in the air for the 16th time in his career. He does it. Corey Heim wins the first race at Lime Rock Park.
See his dad there on the box at the racetrack every weekend supporting his son.
We mentioned his crew chief, Scott Zipadelli, grew up in this area. How big for him. The first time this series races in Connecticut, and they get it done. Happy day for that race team.
Well deserved execution from the time they set that truck up, put it in the trailer, hauled it to Connecticut till the checkered flag fell. Everything was perfect.
Michael, it's been about a year since these guys have done this. Road course racing, turning left and right, and Corey Heim picked right up where he left off.
Looking at the rundown there, a lot of things shook up in that final restart, Michael. We saw ThorSport really take advantage of that, getting the 98 of Ty Majeski, Ben Rhodes, 66 of Cam Waters. They got 3 trucks inside the top 5 on that last one.
You know, people always say, you guys talk about Corey Heim an awful lot. Well, he doesn't give us an option.
How can we help it? How can you help it?
Brent
Great.
Cruz with a nice recovery. We saw him slip back midway through the race and got a nice top 10 finish there. And we talked about Hemrick and Ankrum not running like we thought they would, but late in the going, they got it going.
Look at that, 16th career win. That makes him the 3rd all-time among active drivers. And the youngest to reach 16 Truck Series wins, a record that was held by Kyle Busch.
What a day at the races.
Gonna have some fun. All those fans been sitting and watching from the grass hills. Just doing a nice long victory burnout. This is beautiful.
Corey's saluting those fans right now, Jamie, wanting them to get on their feet and cheer. And you can hear the crowd going wild, enjoying this wonderful NASCAR event for the first time in Connecticut.
Corey Heim credited with leading 99 laps today. Lane Riggs was given 1 lap for that quick pass on him.
The restart zone, he got going before Lane did, but he overshot turns 1 and 2. Lane wound up finishing back in 13th position.
And you can imagine the frustration there, just trying to get everything he could. He knew that he had to have a fender in front of Corey Heim as he got into turn 1 there.
if you're the team, don't you appreciate that Hail Mary he threw? He just got on the game. He did his job, just overdid his job a bit, but you got to go for it, and that's what he did.
Well, they know Lane Riggs is going to go for it. We've seen that proven time and time again. Last week it paid off for him on that late race restart with Carson Hocevar getting that win. But today, it's time.
At Lime Rock Park, Corey Heim picks up his 5th win of the year. He parks it right on the start-finish line. All of his team there. The big congratulations. Well, Josh, what a day. As you mentioned, they didn't have to work on this truck. 0 chassis adjustments. They made 1 slight air pressure adjustment. And there he is. It is Heim time.
See Matt Pusha there. That was my cup
performance from. What a performance from Corey Heim out here at Lime Rock. Makes a little bit of history. The first one to win at Lime Rock and the first Truck Series driver to win 3 straight road course races. Corey Heim led every single lap, swept the stages. And Corey, I know this one was a special one for you to win. Your crew chief is from not too far from here, but what can you say about that performance?
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing short of incredible, man. I mean, these road courses, I really look forward to them. You know, pre-event and whatnot, and prepare pretty hard for them. So to see that all pay off with Safe Flight truck on Toyota, super special. Obviously, the truck was so good today. Just can't complain one bit about that. You know, have a flawless day and take that move forward and try to collect some wins we probably should have had this year.
5th win of the season for Corey Heim, Jamie.
Yeah, and Trevor has talked about just the way this guy prepares, and it's paying off. You see there Corey Heim on top with 5 wins. 7 drivers locked in. There's 3 spots left.
Saw Tom Majeski cut it. That win, couldn't quite get there. A couple of great runs for Ben Rhodes.
And even though these points, Michael, it looks like there's a pretty clear picture. I think we could see this get all jumbled up over the next 3 weeks.
Well, you know how crazy the truck races get, especially at the end of the racing, and we're going short track racing. That'll even multiply things.
We are. It's been a grind for the Truck Series. They're going to get a little bit of a break here for the next few weeks. And then as we talked about, we're going to Indianapolis. We're going to go short track racing. Ty Majeski had a good day today. It could be his night. He knows how to get it done there.
He does. IRP is a great track for him, but we have so many short track racers that I look on that list. You know, you see Caden Honeycutt, you see Gio Ruggiero. I don't know how you predict what's going to happen over these next few races.
It's going to be so much fun. We talked about how things get more intense as these races wind down. Well, on a short track, you don't have to wind them down. It starts out that intense. It's exactly right.
Well, it's been so much fun having you guys join us, Trevor. Always fun to have you in the booth with us. And for Michael Waltrip, for Caitlin Vincey and Todd Bodine, Josh Sims, and our entire Fox Sports team, I'm Jamie Little. Our next truck race, 8 Eastern from IRP on FS1. Coming up later on FS2, it's the ARCA Menards race at 4 Eastern. Coming up next right here, Live Golf from Dallas. Congratulations, Corey Heim. He gets it done in the first truck race at Lime Rock Park. So long, everybody.
Game face on, I don't fake that. I intimidate, eliminate competition like a dinner plate. I'm what makes a winning great. I invigorate. You buckle down and disintegrate. You feel me? Coming through with that weak sauce. You weak boss, don't wanna take a week off. I stand tall and confident, you ain't hot as me. You don't stand at all, you a mockery. I am on the rise. I was told only the strong survive. The difference between y'all and I, without wings, I was born to fly. Get your game face on. Get your game face on. Get your game face on. 'Cause I'm coming to play, boy.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.